is Herbert Odika. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for NAHCO Avions. This is my second time back. I worked for NAHCO Avions for 6 years between 2006 and 2011. I headed passenger services. From there, I became the zonal manager, managing all operations in Lagos, and my last assignment was out of Abuja, opening new stations for the organization. I left in 2011, went back to the UK where I was born and had my earlier career. Worked in other sectors, came back to the aviation industry in Stansted Airport, and came back to Nigeria to take up this project in May 2019. So I'm 3 months back. Right. Of course, we all appreciate that in ground handling business, it's very there's huge costs incurred in terms of purchasing equipment, in terms of manpower costs, because I manage a huge amount of the manpower within the organization. What have I done differently? I looked at our costs. Of course, we try to update our equipment as a new management to maintain the brand image of NAHCO as the preferred ground handling company in Nigeria. But be that as it may, we also looked at some of our equipment, and I came up with some resuscitation plans to repair some of the equipment that may not have had major faults within the system, and sort of part of my cost-saving measures ensure that a lot of our equipment because if you look at our equipment, they're cast iron, they're not really things that the mainframe of most of our equipment can last 50, 100 years, but the mechanics, the technical things within our equipment can be changed and brought back to life. So that is the first strategy I came up with, which is saving us quite a bit of money now. But that doesn't mean we're still purchasing equipment here and there to ensure that as we expand our operations and get new airlines and increase our cargo capacity, that we're able to maintain the standards and keep up with the demands that the airlines will make. We had a budget for our equipment. Now, obviously, you make budgets, but sometimes based on demand, you try to meet with the budget, but sometimes it would always overshoot because of demand. Remember, it's not just purchasing these equipments. They're not bought in the local currency. We have to source them from different parts of the world, manufacturers like TLD, JBT, and other major manufacturers from the US and other parts of Europe. So the budget we have, that is where the plan of the resuscitation of some of the equipments that are in place came. So we had a budget to spend close to 2 billion thereabouts for equipment, but it's not just about purchasing the equipment. In recent times, custom taxes have gone through the roof in the last 4 or 5 years. Expenditure of shipping, these are not normal equipment. They have heavy weight, and obviously that is factored in when you're shipping things. They don't check, they go by volume and dimension and weight. So those are things that sort of eat into our costs, but we've managed it. We have quite a number of equipment here, a couple of pushbacks in. I'm expecting 4 tractors that are cleared already tomorrow. I've had some passenger steps delivered based on demand. And obviously, these demands, we're also mindful of the fact that we have to transfer this cost because we have a period where we look at return on investment for the equipment we've invested in. So we have a period where the equipments would last and hopefully recoup our investment. Our target, or my target, is to ensure that my people maintain the 90s in terms of availability of equipment, professionalism of my manpower that I deploy to each section of the operations, and we tend to keep that floating steady so that our SLAs, because now service level agreements have changed. If you don't meet the service, then there are penalties where we have to pay back to our client airlines. And obviously, nobody is in business to lose money like that. So we tend to ensure we try to meet that standard.
I'm Prince Sahid Lasisi. I'm still a chartered accountant. That's my background. But in the last 10 years, I found myself as a business developer and strategic planner. So quite a lot of experience in the, when you start your career, you go to financial reporting, internal audit, and the rest. But in the last 10 years, I'm more of an aviation and maritime expert, to put it in that way. So I'm currently the Group Executive Director for Commercial and Business Development with NAHCO. This industry is a closed industry. You have majorly is a duopoly. You have two major operators. There are about 300 people that have the licenses, but they have no business as we speak. So, and it's the major determinant of this kind of business. Your revenue is not determined. It is determined by the level of activities. So, you find out that because of the recession that we went through, sometimes, so a lot of people now ship in advance. Before you find at this time, September, I'm sure the warehouse is full, like 4 or 5 years ago. But now a lot of people that needed something to use in September, they've shipped through the seaport, like maybe March and April, because it's cheaper compared to somebody that wants to ship a 20-ton container. A 20-ton this thing by seaport, maybe you pay 3,000 or 4,000 euro to get to Nigeria. If you want to do similar thing, you're talking about 60,000 euro by air. So a lot of companies will look at that. Why don't I ship this earlier on so that I can save? So usually it's safer and faster to do by air. So likely what happens in the economy determines the kind of activities you have in terms of cargo volume. But on passenger side, it's still normal, until we still have some level of growth. People still fly around, both local and international. So that is it's something you can predict on passenger. But for cargo, normally in this kind of sector, you are supposed to have your revenue in 60-40. 60% should be coming from your cargo end, while 40% should be from passenger. But I think currently what we have now, the reverse is the case. We are doing 60% from passenger, while 40% is coming from cargo. So if the economy improves and a lot of people, the companies are buoyant again, I'm sure the percentage can come back. So there's a maximum limit that you can reach, whether you are NAHCO or SACO, in this kind of economy. So that's where we are. But what we currently also do is to also look at some value-added services that we can render to airline. Being a ground service provider, you could do some, and we are actually working on a lot of things to grow, to expand the business. Like the security profiling is another arm, crew bus services. Because when the aircraft lands, the crew needs to go to hotel, So we are developing that kind of, we have an existing one, but we're trying to expand so they can capture almost all the airlines. So that gives you additional stream of revenue. Then on these protocol services as well is another area we are looking at. From the passenger service side, those are low-hanging fruits that can add to your bottom line. And on the cargo side as well, we have a subsidiary called Mainland Cargo Options. Basically target blue chip companies that we can handle their clearing. So that whatever we are losing on the air freight side, so because once you are a clearing company, you can do whether air or sea. So MCO is also, so they are growing in that aspect of the business. So they also are the seaports, adding clearing. So at the end of the day, by the time you aggregate everything, your revenue, at least, although it's not determined except what happens in the economy, but because of that diversification decision that we have taken, so we're able to cover up on that.
Came into the aviation industry with varied experiences in financial management, stakeholder management, and management accounting. Everybody has known that, look, we have deadlines, and we have deadlines that we don't have control over, meaning that we have to do what we need to do at the right time. So it's important also that not only that you do your work, but you do it efficiently and deliver at the appropriate time. So it's important that people know what they are doing, and it's important that they also deal with issues with the level of professionalism that is expected of them as professionals. We have many professional accountants around, but it's important that they do what they are supposed to do at the right time. So having come on board, all these have been made clearly known to everybody that our attitude has to change. And gradually, we are transforming into that because when you talk about finance, yes, people have the knowledge, people know what they are doing, they are professionally qualified, but are they applying that professionalism into the work they are doing? And that's what is one of those things that I've come to make sure that it happens.
So my name is Olatokunbo Fagbemi. And if you ask me what I do in NAHCO, I think that's a tough one. I'm the Group Managing Director of NAHCO, and I have the responsibility of ensuring that this company is very well run, not just for all stakeholders. So principally, the focus is to deliver value for staff, shareholders, regulators, our customers, our clients, and sometimes for even stakeholders that are not directly involved in our business. And what I try to do every day is to work with the team. We have our group executive team, which comprises of our group executive director, corporate services, group executive director, business development and commercial, our chief financial officer, chief operations officer, and also the two heads of our subsidiaries, Mainland Cargo Option and NAHCO Free Trade Zone. So with this team, we run the company, and we're answerable to the board, and through the board to shareholders and other stakeholders. So essentially what has changed is that if you look at the drop of 2017 to 2018, I think several things had happened prior to that, and I wasn't Group Managing Director before then. But one of the things that I was charged to do when I became the Group Managing Director at the end of last year was to ensure that we actualize our transformation plan, which is to grow by 5 times in 5 years. And for most people, that is very bold and audacious. So one of the key areas that we've looked at is how to grow the revenue and also to reduce our costs, both our operating costs and admin expenses. We've been able to reduce our admin expenses. We're working hard on the operating costs, and we believe we'll get that. We've also had increase in revenue in our business, especially in the cargo business. And so I think what has happened, if you ask me simply, is we've had increase in revenue and squeeze in admin expenses. And going further down in the year, we expect to have a better result because we are putting things in place to ensure that even the operating cost is further reduced. And so what will happen is our margins will be higher, definitely, than last year. And as you're also aware that the issues of IFRS 9 and all those impacted, but not so much, but I mean somewhat, we have sorted all that, so we don't have that this year. So definitely this year we are sure of our results, and we believe that the plan for this year will be met. Okay, so the plan is in 5 pillars. So the first one is operational excellence, because when we get our operations and we're excellent, then we deliver better value to the clients. That ensures that we retain the clients we have and we're able to onboard new clients. The second is people and transformation. And so we believe that with our people being refocused, definitely it's all about adding more value, delivering good customer service, retaining the clients, getting new clients, and being able to do more with the bit that we have. So if we have operational excellence, people are transformed to focus on delivering better value, then with the same amount of expense or even less, you can give better value. The third is what we call digital transformation. And when people think about digital transformation, a lot of people think that, oh, it's so expensive because you're going to put so much money into IT and you have all this Internet of Things and all these things with big names that cost a lot of money. But we are taking it in phases. So the first phase that we're going in our digital transformation is to build the foundation of the digital transformation in such a way that we optimize the systems that we have in place. So we optimize our ERP, our email system, our cargo management system to deliver better value. So it's more of, we have systems in place, we have software in place, but how can we get more value from them? How can we ensure that the investment in IT delivers better returns? And so we're using a lot of things and people we have in place, but what are we doing? We're using them more optimally. And so what would that do? It's going to deliver better revenue and at a lower cost. Then if you take the remaining two pillars, which is organic and inorganic growth and diversification. So that essentially is that we grow the market, we grow from what we have, and we also will look at growing from outside. And diversification is looking at other businesses. NAHCO took some diversification steps a couple of years back with the creation of Mainland Cargo Option, which is a full-fledged logistic company, and NAHCO Free Trade Zone. So one of the things that happened just before I became the group managing director was because of transitions on the board. I'm now going back. We looked at the business of NAHCO and looked at what can we do with NAHCO, the business of NAHCO. And one of the things that was identified was that yes, there were these new companies, there was this quest for diversification, but we were not getting as much optional value. So the board decided to run a group structure. So prior to this, you would always have MD of NAHCO. Now we have a group managing director, and what we're doing is we are harnessing all our subsidiaries, putting all our efforts together, building on the synergies that we have, and using that to increase our revenue and reduce our cost. And one of the things we've done this year is that MCO, for example, was just at the aviation industry. Today, since I came in March, MCO started operations at the seaport and started to offer some land-based services. So that's just one of the few things that we're doing. The same thing in NFC, we're looking at how can we optimize the NAHCO Free Trade Zone. Just doing free trade business, but looking at that business from a different perspective, which is a lot of value add. So we've had customers that come prepackaged and ship out. We're also looking across and looking even within the aviation business and looking at people that already are in the aviation business, have businesses that they want to do and take out some bit of value add, but they themselves do not have what it takes to have their own free trade zone. So working with us, they can still have the free trade zone benefits as we extend our licenses to them. So I don't want to tell you all our secrets, but we're putting a lot of things in place to ensure that we do push up our revenue. Another thing that we're doing is that we refocused a lot, if you look in our cargo business, on our processes. What are the key processes that would ensure that cargo business grows? So if we look at cargo, it's import and export. For a foreign airline to be in Nigeria, they worry a lot about the export business, not because of the value of money that it brings, but they're very sure of their security processes. So when it's import, they believe they've done everything and the aircraft is leaving the home country. When it's leaving Nigeria, they're worried because Nigeria is, in quote, a red country. And so they're worried about what would happen. They don't want anything that will cause any problem to be on that plane. So you see that a lot of focus has been placed on what are the security systems that are in place, what are the security measures that are in place to ensure that the export shed is in line with what EU wants, what DFT wants. So we have put a lot of emphasis on that. What we've done is to rejig our processes to focus on the airline because they are our customers. So, and I'm happy to say that every one of the audits that we've had this year, we have passed it. And what has that done is brought more businesses for us because we have them stay for export and then we can support with the import. Some of the things we're also looking at is looking at diverse people within the export space because before I got here, I didn't realize that people were exporting things like ugu, fresh fish, ornamental fish, There's so much that is happening. So what we've done is to keep a space that we have. While we can't do so much, we have rejigged it so that, for example, if you bring live fish or any of those things, we give you priority. So that once you bring it in, it goes straight through the warehouse, goes through all the security checks, and we support that. And what are we trying to do? We're trying to ensure that we support the export business, which is the place of growth for our country, the place of growth for our farmers, the place of growth for our own business ultimately. So some people say, why are you so passionate about agri export? I can see the impact if we get it right. And I can see what is happening because we're not getting it right. So a lot of the things that are taken out are poorly packaged. Some have infestation from the farm gate. Some are left in the boot for a long time before they get to us. So when they get abroad, some of them are sent back. We had one of the airlines come back and tell us about how there were maggots in the fish and they had to sanitize the whole aircraft and that cost money. But fish with maggots is very nice. You put it inside hot water and the fish is. But for the Europeans, they don't want that. They don't want that. So how do we ensure that you still get that dry fish taste and you can still do it in the way that you can do it? So we're interested in how we can partner. And we keep saying it, partner with lots of people. So we try to reach out to IAMT and we speak to Quarantine on how to partner in such a way that we may have a platform or a forum that exporters of agri produce can reach, access, and understand how best they can tap into that business without losing their revenue. Because if I have an output of 100% and I'm going to waste 80%, even though I think I'm going to make money, it makes better sense to make all the money from the 80. Because for them to continue to do it, they must be making money from it somewhere. So we've just had an approval given to us by FAN for an export processing center. It's not big enough for what we want, but we are going to design it. Because we have this large plan for growth, definitely we would be investing. We'll be looking for capital. But what we're doing this year is to run this year and see how this year pans out, so that early next year, we will now come up with the options. The options that are available for us include capital raising diverse funds or taking long-term loans. So we would, but we want to do it based on the results of this year. To say these are the things we planned. How did it work out? This is the result. So how do we go from there? We don't want to take a plunge and then come back and find out that we could have done that this year. There's a lot of pressure for us to say, look, since we have to spend this year in raising capital, putting it in, but we decided to start the program, see how it pans out, and then roll out whatever capital raise or financial engineering from the first quarter of next year.